Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Happy that you are part of the program today. Some of you have had wonderful gardens this year. Others of you, including us, have had not the greatest gardens. Some of it was contributed to Holly to not watering enough, so let's not make that mistake again next year. Let's get her some tree diapers and keep our plants alive.
Absolutely. If your plants could talk, they might tell you they have some complaints about maybe not being properly watered, either too much or too little, etc. How do you water properly? Take the guesswork out by using the tree diaper. Tree diaper is a revolutionary watering system that stabilizes soil moisture by taking the excess water and slowly releasing it when the plants need it. The tree diaper is filled with water from the rain or when you water and releases water over 3 weeks' time. No pipes, hoses, or electricity needed. Whether you're a first-time gardener or advanced, tree diaper will improve the way you water your plants. Made in the USA. Check out all the sizes they have available. That's treediaper.com, and they will make your plants happy.
Yes, they will. So hostas, Holly. Some people say if you plant one hosta, you are now addicted to hosta growing. We've never felt that we were addicted to hosta growing. However, there are some things in which one needs to do in order to make sure their hostas continue to grow and thrive now before the winter so they can come back in the spring with full force.
I mean, I could see this because there's a lot of varieties of hostas out there, and you could really get creative, and people will divide and separate their hostas. And
well, the answer always is, Holly, I got some space here under kind of partial shade. What should I plant? Hostas.
It is like the catch-all gardening advice.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. What should I bake? Hostas. Brownies. My thing is always baking brownies. Yeah. So anyway, you want to, if you are planting a hosta or you think your hosta needs help, you can apply a well-balanced slow release fertilizer after planting or when growth emerges in the spring. So this is something maybe you don't think about doing. Do you fertilize your hostas? You're like, well, probably not. But if you want them to look nice, you could do that.
Yes, something with a well-balanced fertilizer. If you're concerned that you're losing some color, you want to up the first number, which is the nitrogen. Fertilizer bags have nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. That higher first number is the stuff that makes it green. And based on where you got them planted, sometimes you do have issues with slugs attacking them. So you can do a couple of things. One would be move them. Second would be there is products you can buy. You can also do a beer trap. Explain a beer trap, Holly, what that does to the slugs for the instance of either you've got them in your vegetable garden or you've got them in your hosta bed and they're destroying the plants.
Sure. So what happens is that you take a little dish like a tuna can or a small, something that's probably at least an inch deep. You could do a small plastic. What are those called? Party cup.
Yeah, party cups.
And you bury it so that the lip of it is level with the soil. And you put some beer in there, and the slugs are coming along, and they like the smell of beer, and I'm assuming the taste of it. And then they fall in, and then they can't get out, and they die drunk. And
you can, if it rains, you'll need to replace this on a regular basis or check it every day based on the population of slugs in your area. Now that we're in fall, Holly, there's some things we want to do to our hostas before freeze comes, or should there be some things in which we do to our hostas before the freeze and snow comes for us in the areas where that is going to happen?
Yeah, so you can cut them back. You can wait until after a few frosts, and they're going to get mushy, and you can cut them back to avoid slug and disease issues. And then you just clean around the plants, remove brown leaves. You could also cut them back in the spring. So if you say you get a few frosts and then it gets really cold and you just don't have time or want to bundle up to get out there and cut them, you can wait until the spring to do so.
Should we mulch in the fall, or do we need to mulch?
You don't need to mulch.
Okay. Mulching, if you have soil conditions that would favor mulching because they are a very dry location and you don't want to use a tree diaper to hydrate your hostas, even though you can put it underneath mulch. You can put mulch around that. Dividing them. fall or spring?
That's something
Or
you want
never.
to do. No, that's something you want to do in the spring.
Okay.
So what you want to do.
And I say never because there are some plants how that if you divide them, you kill them, even though you think I should be dividing them.
Right. Hostas aren't like that. They're easy to divide.
Very
you just
robust.
have to. Yeah. You just have to. You have to decide if that's something you want to do, or maybe you feel like that hosta plant is taking up a lot of space and you want to move it, or you want to put something else there next to it or whatever. So yeah, you want to think about that. Transplanting is done in the early spring when leaves just begin to emerge. And all you're going to do is you're going to take, they don't need it for their health. I want to mention that.
Okay.
So if they have less space, they'll just grow less quickly. So what you're going to do is you're going to take and look for the eyes or like the growing tips emerging from the ground. And then you can, at that point, separate them. You can figure out how each little plant is growing from the root. And then you would pull out like a plant.
Right. And or if you want it to be very simple, you just dig the crown up, dig the whole plant up and cut across and do 4 plants out of one based on the size. Or you might just be able to do half and call it good and expand your hosta growing area.
Right. Yeah.
So, and then,
I just wanted to talk about some past issues. We talked about the slugs and the beer. You can also use a 20% ammonia solution. So that would be 1 part ammonia to 4 parts water. And in the spring, you can take that, put it in a watering can, and then you would just water around your hosta plant, the crown, and just as the little, what's it called? The little blooms, greenery, whatever, is poking through.
Growth
and that will
tips.
help, growth tips, and that will help with the slugs.
Fun fact, there's over 3,000 registered varieties of hostas in the world.
That's a lot of hostas. That's almost
There's
like,
70 species of hostas and over 3,000 registered varieties. So you have a lot to choose from. And not all of them are commercially available based on where you're at. And they do bloom. They are grown primarily for the foliage, not so much the blooms. So just, there's some choices out there. You might have to mail order them in. Your garden center may not have many varieties at all, but a good selection that you can pick from. And the largest hosta reaches typically about 6 foot wide and has massive bluish green foliage and can be very pretty based, where you're at and the conditions. But that's a very large hosta, 6 foot wide high.
Yeah, that's a big hosta.
So that makes you want to be, that brings up a point of you want to be aware of what is the maximum growth that this plant or any plant that you buy has. Oh, it says 4 to 6 feet wide. Well, I'm just going to shove it in this corner because it ain't going to get that big. It will get that big, and you're going to have issues. Okay, so keep that in mind on whatever you're growing. Know the maximum size and make sure that you have space and don't cram it up against something that it's going to impede or damage that place in that building or that whatever it is. So, well, Holly, with that being said, fall is here. Kids are in school. Nights are getting colder, and you have forgotten about your lawn.
Yeah, just because it's fall, we don't want to forget about our yards. Those Japanese beetles either. They may be gone, but they're not far. They feasted on your roses. They laid eggs in your turf, so they can start again next year. You can take a stand with Phylum's Grub Gone. Grub Gone is a non-chemical BT granular that specifically targets scare pests and their larvae. Simply apply the granule with a spreader, irrigate into the soil, and let the naturally occurring bacteria do its job. Yes,
and the best part about it is Grub Gone has 0 restrictions. It's the only non-chemical choice that effectively controls grubs, and it is non-toxic to bees, butterflies, and it has no label restrictions for water toxicity either. You can get all of your Grub Gone at BeetleGone.com. That's BeetleGone.com to get your Grub Gone. Save 10% on your order when using coupon code GardenTalk10. BeetleGone.com for your Grub Gone.
For more information, please visit theWisconsinVegetableGardener.com.